They're going.
Great. So it sounds like maybe that experience might have influenced you a little bit. Tell us, why did you join the residency?
So I joined the residency because so I did hear about it when I was a para at Park Hill, and then I joined it because the program itself seemed like something that would really get you involved, and I knew that I wanted to stay in Denver, and that this is where I wanted to be, and this seemed like the best way to become a part of the community and really get the whole year experience. I have friends that went through the undergrad at UNC, which is a really good undergrad program for teaching, but they just only got a short time in the classroom, and so it was really good to see a whole year experience.
Good. So tell us a little, or tell me, it's just me right here. There's no one else here. Tell me about the residency year. What's it been like this year?
So it's been different because I was a para in an MI classroom, and that's kind of what I was thinking of when I did the residency, and so I was thinking more of a center-based special ed classroom, and so I started my residency year in mild moderate, so we do pullouts, which was much different because I don't have my own classroom, and so it's like you see the kids for 45 minutes a day and then they're gone. But it's been really nice to see that and see the ways that they can transfer kind of their learning back to the classroom. I've been lucky enough to have two people that are part of DTR in my classroom, and so I have my mentor and then a former resident shares the classroom with us, and so it's been really nice to kind of see that both sides of things, and so it's been really good. It's been a lot, but it's been rewarding at the same time, so it's been a lot, but busy for sure.
It's intense.
Yes, it's
It
really
is.
intense.
So Ivory was just in here,
Yeah.
and she said to us that there are certain qualities she thinks that residents need to be successful. What do you think some of those are? She said perseverance.
Definitely perseverance, which I think it's really funny because we'll talk a lot about teaching our students grit, and then all of the residents will get together and be like, I can't do this, I can't. And so then we have to really work on our grit and our perseverance at the same time. I'd also say organization is a really big thing that you have to have because you have to be able to organize all your teaching materials and all of your like DTR school materials, and kind of keep those things separate, but then they're so intertwined at the same time. And then, let's see, people call me type A a lot, so I'd say maybe being a little bit more type A and kind of controlling than super relaxed and chill would help you get through it because you can kind of micromanage all of these things that you have to do for a year.
Right. And they mean it as a compliment.
I,
when they type
I
it,
hope
right?
so. Sometimes I'm not so sure, but
Well, you talked a little bit about the coursework and the clinical, being in the
yes.
classroom. Tell me a little bit about, like maybe what does that, like, can you describe that for someone who has no idea what that means? What does that look like?
Oh, goodness. So doing your master's degree and pretty much working full time, it kind of looks like no social life, but it's really good. I was actually surprised when I started it that the amount of time you actually do have. So you go into a classroom at the beginning of the year, just like a regular teacher, and you meet the students and you get to know your kids, and then right from the get-go, you are doing night classes, even the summer before. You are doing classes, and so you do at least 2 days of classes a week. You miss one day of school, so you miss Thursdays to go to DU and go to class, which is always interesting because you miss little things, then you come back, but the students eventually kind of get into the habit of that you're just going to be gone on Thursdays. But yeah, that's.
So tell me, you talked a little bit about being in this space, and you said that, there's this graduate there and then your mentor. Will you tell me how you work with your mentor? What does that look like?
So we're both really type A, but then really laid back in the way that we communicate. And so working with him has been really nice because he's kind of let me take on a lot of responsibility early on. And so working with him, it's been a lot of set planning time, which is good for both of us because then we kind of lay out the week. But even going from the beginning, he's kind of given me different groups that I was more in charge of and more able to kind of run with. And that's been really nice to see the things that work and then going back and watching him maybe do the same lesson with a different group and seeing how, oh, that could have been so much better, and being able to really watch him and see the ways that he does things differently than I will even in the future or the things that I really want to take with me. And so it's been really nice to have kind of that freedom almost, but then still under the guidance of someone, that if something goes completely wrong, I still have someone to turn to and really see, well, why did it go wrong?
Right.
But then now going into my lead, it's really exciting because next we start our lead for the next 3 weeks. And so we took Tuesday afternoon to plan. And so it was really nice to see him kind of just really step back. And he was like, okay, so what do you want to do for 3 weeks? Like, this is your time. Whereas before he was always like, well, here are the lessons that we're doing. Now you get to plan them. And now it's really my time to kind of start fresh. So it's really exciting.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Can you think of one time when you worked with your mentor? What's his name?
Tony.
Tony. Yeah, I know. Can you think of one time when you worked with Tony that he gave you some feedback where you were like, oh, like it was powerful?
So, yes. And so one time he gave me feedback that was not great. It was more about equity, which is something I really thought from the beginning I kind of understood and had down. And then he came in and observed one of my groups and said, you're not really calling on everyone actively. And I can see that one girl in particular is kind of just like, because you're not calling on her and you're not engaging her. And that was really like, oh, maybe I need a system, or maybe I need to really, because we only have 6 kids in a group. So if I'm not calling on one kid, they know. And so then it was kind of good to see I made a system from that. And for a while, I really marked who I was calling on and when, so that it was more equal and that everyone was participating. Then I kind of let go of that, but it was really good to hear that something maybe I thought I had down, I didn't really, or I was just letting it slip.
That's great. Would you, do you think that the residency is good for kids?
Yes. I think that the residency is good for my students because they see that even though I'm a teacher to them, they don't think of me, as far as I know, any differently than they think of Tony. But I also talk to them about that I'm going to school, or on Tuesdays I'm going to leave because I go to class. And then that gets them engaged in, well, why do you still have class? Like, we have class. And like, they really see that you can continue going to class and you can continue learning your whole life, and people that they think are kind of done with it are still going, and it excites them about it. They love to talk about the different things that I have to learn. It's funny that I have to do homework still, and so I think it's good to see those things, for them to see those things.
Absolutely, me too. I think that's all we have.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Kelsey. You were